listening to
A to the K.
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 A to the K WrestleTalk podcast.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.
So, since you've been speaking for ages,
You said that with dead-eyed. We're not done.
We're not done. Do you want me to talk through the card and you can talk through the
If you would
matches?
be so kind, Carl, that would be great.
So, for the final segment, segment 3, we are doing a pay-per-view coverage of NXT's WarGames, with the match card being a WarGames match, the women's match, which was Team Candice LeRae taking on Team Shotzi Blackheart, with Team Candice LeRae picking up the win. We had Tommaso Ciampa taking on Timothy Thatcher, really? Thatcher. Lose some pounds, you Thatcher. With Ciampa picking up the win. We had a strap match with Cameron Grimes taking on Dexter Lumis, and Dexter picked up the win in that one. We had the North American title on the line in a triple threat match with Leon Ruff, the title holder, defending against Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano, with Gargano picking up the win with some help, perhaps. And the main event of the evening was the men's WarGames match. We saw the Undisputed Era taking on Team McAfee, with Undisputed Era picking up the win. And that, Anthony, was the WarGames card. Do you want to run us through the highlights and no-shites?
I certainly can. I'll need some contribution from you because I know some of these highlights are yours, but I will look at the notes right now. And I will say, firstly, the women's WarGames, right? Now, I'll let you cover your reasons for Gonzalez because I think that was yours, right?
Yeah.
But I think the standouts in this match, and it was a really good match, but the standouts in this match were actually Shirai and Gonzalez, to the point that I think that would be a really compelling match going forward between the two of them for the title. And basically just that they were kind of the pivotal characters in it. You know, Shirai had to really have a show in here because she is, you know, just by the fact that she is the title holder, she is the best women's wrestler there, you know. So she had to bring it in that sense. So I think she did a good job. Obviously, Team LeRae took the win, but I think for me those two were the standouts there. And I'll let you talk on Gonzalez because this note comes from your good self. But I totally agree with your sentiments on Gonzalez.
Yeah. I think for me, you know, this pay-per-view for me started out really strong. I think we had this match, then we had Ciampa Thatcher, and then as we went on, it got kind of, I don't know, progressively worse, which is unfortunate. But I think for me, this opening match was just, I don't know, this is what women's wrestling can do. And It didn't feel like a women's match. It felt like this is a top-tier wrestling match. Everyone gave their all. You had some crazy spots. You had some crazy moments. You know, it was brutal. I think Candice LeRae broke her arm. Match. You know, like, I think that was because of Shotzi's crazy fucking whatever the fuck it was she did.
She's fucking lunatic, man.
I think it was a weird sent-on thing from like a ladder or something, or off the top of the cage. I can't remember, but
I think it was a ladder, but
yeah. So I think phenomenal match, and for me, you know, as you said, I think Gonzalez is someone who I haven't been fond of massively. I thought, you know, we had the whole, is she going to do something with Rhea Ripley? Is like this kind of thing going to happen? And she always had like the physique, she's had like the potential, but we've never really seen that match from her that was, you know, she could be something. This for me was that match. She was the standout in this because, if anything, she was made a star in this because the contribution she had, the way she was involved, you know, how menacing she was. I think she picked up the win. It was just like an all-out standout performance, I thought, for her, and it was one which kind of made me think, okay, she's going to be something. Whereas previously I was a bit on the fence. Whereas I was like, okay, this is, you know, Gonzalez's moment now. She's going to be, you know, got the potential to go on to be like a big star. So yeah, I thought she was fantastic. Yeah,
no, I couldn't agree more. It's one of them where you could have. She's in there as like playing that sort of trope, of like she's the big bodyguard type character, and I think you could have easily sort of slept on her as a wrestler. And the fact that they've sort of put her in this sort of prominent position in the match, so that you can go, actually, she's fucking good. I'm hoping that they use this momentum, and it's going to be good things for her going forward.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So next highlight, Carl, Tommaso going up against Thatcher was as brutal as you thought it would fucking be.
Yeah.
These two were not going to hold back, and we knew they weren't going to hold back. And fuck me, they're going to feel sore tomorrow, man. There's going to be I wouldn't be surprised if there's some injury come from this, because we had Thatcher bleeding from the ear at one point. Like, they fucking went for each other, man.
Just beat each other up. Like, was it even a wrestling match?
Yeah, I don't think this was wrestling.
Yeah.
And, fair play. It was compelling as fuck. But, when you're like, I think someone might have had an injury from that. I don't even know where the injury was, but, I mean, bleeding from the ear is not good. That can't be a good thing. So, I don't know. Maybe some time off for both of them. But I need to moan about it slightly, because I feel like, as good as this was, we're going to go right back to where we were with Thatcher kind of having no direction. Because that's what he was doing before Tommaso come along and wants a piece of him. Tommaso, for me, you could have put him up against Loomis and you could have another compelling dynamic. Thatcher, not so much. So, not to go straight into a negative from it, but that's the only problem I've got with it, is like, where'd you go from there? It was a fucking good match, though.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. I think the big criticism I've had of Thatcher was that since the Riddle match, he's had nothing. He's felt out of place. He's felt like just on the show for no reason. And
exactly,
this was something which I was like, okay, Ciampa, that could be a really good match, and it was. But now it seems to be done with. There's not, I can't see, anything else happening with these guys. So it's like,
Thatcher's become a really weird character for me, because it's like, this is exactly what's happening with him. He had that pit fight match with Riddle, and it was a really good match. And then he floundered for a while, and then he's had this match with Tommaso, and it was a really good match. And I feel like we're going to flounder for a while. I don't know. It's like the in between epic matches, they don't know what to do with them. It's really weird. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. The last one, Carl, not necessarily a highlight. Again, it's just something I need to talk about, because I still don't know whether to call it a highlight. And that was the main event.
Yeah.
It was really good. I'm still torn as to whether the Undisputed Era should have won. Does that kind of totally deflate the Kings of NXT? Feels like it does. I just don't know. It was good, but was it a highlight? I'm not even sure whether it might even be slightly an shite. I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about the whole fucking main event.
I kind of feel your pain on this one. I don't know. I'm probably going to take some flack for this, but I was really impressed with McAfee when he made his debut. I was like, okay, fair play. This match, I don't know, it wasn't great. He did the whole spot off the top and all that kind of, like, the stuff he's been willing to put himself through, is commendable. Like, fair play. You're not in the business and you'll do some crazy shit. Mad props. But, like, he was exposed in this match for me. Like, there was that bit where he jumped off the turnbuckle with he just jumped off. Like, there was no discernible move he was trying to land. And then Gargano super kicked him in the face. Cole super kicked him in the face.
Out where he came way the fuck out of nowhere.
A wild Gargano appears. No, but Cole super kicked him in the face, and it was just kind of like, what were you hoping to land? You jumped off the rope like this. It's stupid. So
just catch me.
Yeah. So on a week where we're kind of remembering Pat Patterson and like the stuff he's done to contribute to wrestling matches, like McAfee needed some more direction in this match. I felt he just, like, simple things that
he had direction. Jump off that way.
It's like, he should have been told, do something that makes it like you're going to hit a move. Don't just jump off in a fucking, like, you may as well just done this with his arms in the air, just like fucking landed on a crash mat.
Swimmer.
Yeah, like, he just jumped off for no reason and then got super kicked, and it was like stuff like that. And like, I know he did the crazy swanton off the top, and fair play, you mad bastard.
You know what? The thing is, like, this is the thing, like, he's willing to do some crazy shit, but I think that's probably the problem. Like, previously he did a couple of spots in a match that didn't involve him heavily, so it was crazy. Whereas this time it's a bit more like you realize he can't wrestle. Like he needs some more experience in that, sadly. And I'm not taking away from what he's done so far, and he is really good on the mic considering. But he definitely needs some more training in the ring, I would say, for that kind of stuff. Like you say, that like I've got Eddie Kingston in the back of my head here, calling him a spot monkey for some reason. I don't know what that is. But I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a fairly directionless just leap, and it's like, well, that's the kind of stuff you kind of need to sell a bit better. But yeah, I don't know. Like, how did you feel about the Undisputed Era winning? I feel like that kind of took the legs out of this new faction straight off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of unsure on the longevity of the faction, to be fair. I think it probably made sense because Undisputed Era is probably not going anywhere. Whereas, I don't know, I think is Pat McAfee already said, you know what, I've done my stuff, I'm going to move on to something else because that's what I do. Or, like, you know what I mean? Is he in it for the long haul?
I don't know, like, not so much Pat McAfee because, like, he'll do what he wants to do in that sense. He's having his experience of wrestling. But, like, for Pete Dunne to make his comeback and join this faction, for the faction to then lose and potentially dissolve, we don't know. I don't know. It just seems like a bit of a directionless thing for Pete Dunne. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, for me...
By the way, come back looking ripped as fuck, by the way. He looks proper threatening now.
I think for me, it's probably not the worst thing in the world for him to come back and, you know, enter into a big storyline and then exit quickly and go into himself again. So, you know, I'd be more for him not part of the faction.
Yeah. And you know what? I dare say, with looking at what Riddle's doing on Raw at the minute and the way Pete Dunne is now, he's come back. I'm like, I'm kind of sad that we never got the dissolve of their friendship and an ultimate subsequent match. You know, that would have actually been quite compelling.
Or can we see it on the main roster? No, don't be silly.
No, so yeah, that was maybe a highlight, but was very negative, the whole conversation. So probably not a highlight. But I had to talk about it because, like, I just don't know. It was a strange main event. Anyway, let's talk about the actual O'Shea Cal. And I've got two. Right, first one is sorry. First one was Grimes and Loomis, and I'm trying to give it a little bit of credit by saying that I don't know if we've maybe been spoilt with strap matches this last year, which is a weird thing to say, but like you stack this up against Fiend Bryan, and it's like, well, this wasn't. It was nowhere near as good. So then I'm sat looking at a strap match that was not as entertaining, and I'm like, I don't know. I think it ultimately landed in the same way that every fucking match that he's had with Loomis has landed, where Loomis tapped him out, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I feel like they built it up by having Grimes trying to avoid him so much that I was expecting more of a match, more of a beating. And I know the stipulation was there, and it can be a bit of a goofy stipulation, but they didn't even honor the stipulation properly, Carl. And I'm not going to take credit for this because I didn't pick up on this, but I've since read about it, and it's like WWE just have abandoned the being able to tap all four corners to win the match, and you can just win it however the fuck you want now. Yeah. So the strap element became a lot less useful anyway. But even so, like, I don't know. I was expecting more from it, maybe wrongly so. I don't know how you felt about it, Carl. But...
No, I think, to your point, we've seen a lot of matches now with these guys, and I don't know, this one didn't feel like the one that was going to finally put the feud to rest. And I think, you know, Cameron Grimes, for someone who would be so, you know, shit in the bed about this kind of match, again, he came out, he didn't look scared at all. It was just a bit like, I don't know, storytelling isn't a strong point, I don't think, because, you know, you've had the whole, well, these guys are in a feud, and it's like, well, why? You've had the whole Cameron Grimes thing where he's like, oh, I'm going to go after fucking Dexter Loomis's sister in the shower.
It's
and
just
like,
so fucking stupid.
Oh. And then you've had all that weird shit, and then like you've got it all the way come down to a strap match, and then he comes out just like himself, like, yeah, you know, and it's like, well, I thought you were scared. I thought you were terrified of Loomis.
Yeah, that's how you've been selling it.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just it was a bit of a letdown. I hope it's the end. You know,
I hope so. We need to move Loomis on to other stuff. I want to see Loomis champion.
Well, yeah, like, fuck it, do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
My last O'Shea, Carl, was the North American title stuff. And I'm going to try and not repeat myself too much here, Carl, because exactly what I feared would happen happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ruff played he was a prop. He was something there to help the feud between Priest and Gargano. But on top of that, now we've got this inclusion of Austin Theory, who's now aligned with Gargano, which this guy's just apparently just forever the follower. Like, he was sort of directionless after Rollins dumped him, so he just had to find someone else. And I think that's not the best for him. He's just sort of wandering around looking for someone who can lead him. And I don't mind Gargano as a heel, especially the way he's been lately, but I don't like this idea of bringing, like, I don't, the whole thing now, we've got like Indy Hartwell and now Theory, all part of this Gargano family sort of mafioso thing they've got going on. I'm not overly sold on including more parties to that. I didn't mind him taking the belt back as much as it affected Ruff. I am really aggrieved that this is quite clearly carrying on a feud between him and Priest. Don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the biggest failing of this whole thing was, the whole Theory reveal was like, he was like the sixth, like, Scream character, I believe.
Oh, yeah, because he was the only Scream character there.
So it's like, well, who were those other fucking five then? Like, I hate when like, stuff
like, just guys.
Yeah, it's like, well, really? Like it proper does me head in, because who are them other people? Like, fair play. It made Priest look like a bit of a badass going out and getting rid of the Scream characters sound. But then it was like, well, yeah, they were all decoys because we only really had Theory. And it's like, well, I don't know. I'm never a big fan of that kind of thing where you've got loads of them, but it's only for the one.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Because then it's like, Priest is a badass when it comes to normal people, but another wrestler, oh no.
Well, exactly.
Like, what? And it's Theory
Also,
that he loses all the fucking time.
Do disqualifications not count anymore then? Because he got absolutely twatted with a fucking spanner or something, didn't he? A wrench.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, I'm not sure. I don't know if it, like, because they never really specified whether it was a stipulation of the match. I thought DQs would have counted, but apparently not, as you say. No idea. But yeah, like, I do still genuine, and again, apologies because I am starting to repeat myself, but I do genuinely feel bad for Ruff, because this was the whole point of him having a title was just for this, like, this sort of, I don't know. I don't even know why they had to include him, just because the feud between Gargano and Priest would have been even more boring than it is. I don't know. So yeah, that wasn't great for me. This was, as a pay-per-view, this was actually quite dull. Like, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Something you said earlier about, like, it started out great and then sort of got worse and then it picked back up. That's kind of the wrong way. I'm always for a good opener, don't get me wrong, but the fact that it wasn't like good opener, calm down a bit, good middle match, calm down a bit, epic main event. This was just like, let's start really high and then just slowly plateau.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an unusual config, let's say. So, sorry, have you? Looks like you've got another note there. Do you want to mention that before we do ratings?
Oh no, what have I said?
Underneath your rating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it was just more context around the reason why I gave the rating. But for me,
well, fair enough. We do ratings then if you want.
Yeah, go on. Okay.
For me, I would actually. I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5 again for the same reasons that I gave SmackDown a 2.5. That it was better than Raw. But it was, as far as a pay-per-view goes, it kind of, because I might have even been inclined, if this was an NXT, a normal week of NXT, I might have even give it a 3. But the fact that this was meant to be a pay-per-view kind of drags it down for me. Like, I'm like, I held it to probably a higher standard, I suppose, because of that. So I was like, I can't give it a 3 as a pay-per-view. So it has to be a 2.5 for me.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, I think this is the first time we've agreed all episode. So for once, I've not gone under yet. 2.5 for me as well. I thought, honestly, the WarGames matches, which the whole pay-per-view is built around, were pretty solid. I thought they were good. The women's match was fantastic. The men's one was decent. It definitely wasn't bad. But yeah, there was a couple of things with McAfee that I wasn't really keen on. But you know what? I think the main gripe I had was, for me, I don't think NXT do a great job of filling 2 hours. I think it was a fantastic show when it was a 1 hour show. way back when, and it was like you got some like you crammed so much into 1 hour that it felt like, yeah, this is like a great use of my time. Whereas like I feel like now it's a lot of filler. So if they can't fill 2 hours, I find it hard to fill 3.5 or however long the pay-per-view was. So for me, I felt like the War Games matches went on, I think like 45 minutes a piece. And that's a long ass time to watch a wrestling match. Like unless it's like an Iron Man match between two people that you think are fucking amazing, you know, it's a long ass time to watch a match. And I think when it's the type of match, it's like a War Games match where you're waiting for people to join, and then there's a lot of recovery time, and yeah, it felt long. And for me, that was the reason it kind of drops quite a bit. So yeah, 2.5 for me. I thought all in all it was fine, but yeah, I don't know. I think other than the War Games matches, it was a bit meh. And I think the point I made where it was round, it started off really strong and then just kind of went downhill from there, was not ideal.
Yeah, no, that's a really thorough assessment of that, to be fair, mate. I couldn't agree more. I think you're totally right about, like, now they've got extra time, the put filler in. Like, we do not need Damian Priest's hot tub time, for instance. Like, it's just not necessary. So I think, like you say, there's sadly a little bit too much filler in there. Maybe that'll change when, you know, the COVID situation isn't as bad and you can have a more stacked roster and more people, because they are working still with less than usual, but, you know, not dire numbers, but less numbers than usual. So maybe we can pack it out a bit more then. But certainly right now, it's, I would agree with you, totally.
Nice.
And that was NXT WarGames Takeover 3. I don't know.
Life removed.
And that was the show for the week. I was going to say This Week in Wrestling. Suppose it kind of is. But that was A2K's WrestleTalk for this week, guys. Now, of course, you've already heard the adverts for commercials for For the Love of Wrestling. And, of course, I'm going to play that again, because why the fuck not? But, Carl, do you want to tell them how they can find us?
Oh, so many ways, guys. You can find us on our social platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, others. All, did I say Facebook? Probably Facebook.
You did. Facebook, yeah.
Did I miss any?
I don't think you missed any, you know. I think that was quite thorough.
Cool. All them. Obviously, you know, you can go over to our YouTube, subscribe there, click the little notification bell, you know, all those things that we tell you to do that. But yeah, we are anywhere you can find your podcasts, anywhere that you can find wrestling entertainment, wrestling memes, wrestling posts. We're there. And, you know, drop us a like, drop us a follow, help your brothers out. That's all I can say.
And obviously, if you fancy some merch, if you like the shirt I'm wearing, or if you like the shirt Carl's wearing, show him, Carl. It says other stuff. There you go. If you like those shirts, if you want to see other shirts, then head on down to a2k.co.uk and look at the shop section. And Carl will be adding 3 more that we've mentioned throughout tonight.
That's it. And if there's any you can think of and you would love a shirt, you know, to adorn your body with a quote or something we've said or done, or just, you know, any weird requests, because, you know,
whatever.
You're a bunch of weirdos, aren't you? You know, if you want a picture of us doing, like, stuff, yeah, you know.
Wow.
Subscribe to our OnlyFans.
Yeah. Nice. But no, that's us for another week, guys. So we will see you all next week. We will see you all for another Ringside Report, another This Week in Wrestling, and a fun, unique segment, because I believe we've not got a pay-per-view, Carl, so we're going to do something a little bit different.
Hallelujah.
Next week.
Oh, yeah.
We'll reveal that next week.
Back to segment 3s.
Yeah. So we'll see you all next week.
We will. Take it easy, guys.
Monopoly Events presents For the Love of Wrestling, Europe's largest wrestling convention, back in Liverpool, the Exhibition Centre, between the 15th and 16th of May. Guests this year include Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, the Icon, the Showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, 3-time WWE champion, 3-time TNA champion. Things are about to get extreme with Jeff Hardy. 7 times Women's Champion, Diva of the Decade and Hall of Fame star Trish Stratus. Grand Slam winner and the Wrestling God, John Bradshaw Layfield. These and many, many more will be joining us in Liverpool. Find us on Facebook at For the Love of Wrestling. Visit our website, fortheloveofwrestling.co.uk. For tickets for entry and guests, visit ticketquarter.co.uk. That's ticketquarter.co.uk. For the Love of Wrestling, by the fans, for the fans.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa and you're watching or listening A to the K.